parachute.
Like a couple Bitcoins.
Money, though.
Pull up on my Nakamoto.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Blockchain Dynamics Show.
Good evening.
It is October 15th, Saturday night.
Yeah, episode number 33, and a very special episode because we have a guest host with us, Crypto Juggalo, today.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
We're really happy to have Crypto Juggalo on the show. He's just kind of a well-known Twitter personality and miner and general good guy, so we're glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
As always, we are brought to you by Cryptopia. That's www.cryptopia.co.nz.
Yeah, and if you come by and check out their forum area, find our thread underneath the altcoin section, and leave us some feedback, we'll be able to reward you with some DOT, their native cryptocurrency over there.
It's true. We had somebody stop by the thread this week, and they recommended for us to take a look at the ICO coin Forex, so we will get to that. And we want to thank them for that. Cryptopia, of course, is like an altcoin platform. They have not only an exchange, but a variety of other services, including block explorers and coin information and forums. So yeah, as Woody said, stop by our forums. We're in the altcoin section there, and give us a shout.
That's right. So, Crypto Juggalo was kind enough to join us today, and he is going to follow with us through this week's crypto news and events and new posts and whatnot.
Yep.
Because that's what we look at on the show.
Yep, we are going to start off this week with our second look segment. This is where we kind of take a coin that's come out recently, or maybe not so recently.
Or suggested in this case.
Yeah, or in this case, suggested to us by one of our listeners, and then we'll just, we'll kind of look it over, see where it's at, and I guess see what we think of it.
The coin this week we're taking a second look at is Pesobit.
Pesobit.
And it was on the top winning percentage of our show last week. I remember that. They had a huge pump last week. And
yep.
That was about all I knew about it at that point.
Yep, I remember we covered it on the new posts, but we didn't dive into it too much because it is just an ICO coin. Looks like they raised about 60 Bitcoins in their ICO. Puts them, the ICO price was 338 Satoshi, as I recall.
Okay.
They're trading on C-Cex, Cryptopia, Novaexchange, and something called Trade Satoshi.
Yeah. And interestingly, the majority of the volume on Cryptopia, and high volume for Cryptopia.
Yep, relatively high volume, and they have, they did pump up there, I guess, up to like 20,000 Satoshi, so kind of a surprise for, I mean, as far as the future suite goes, it's just the generic like set of Bitcoin futures. They're trying to target the Filipino market and go with like remittances and that kind of thing. But I feel like, I mean, this is a pretty commonly used theme, and it's hard to see what advantage this coin could possibly have over Bitcoin.
Yeah, when I looked at their kind of most recent news post, I felt like we've heard a lot of coins promise this type of stuff before, all the way to the point where they're saying they're going to make a debit card system where people can basically convert Pesobits to their native fiat currency and spend it wherever they want. Obviously, that would be a pretty interesting project, and I don't know. It's just hard to take a project like this at face value for me right now.
The question always comes down to adoption. I've not seen a coin like this actually, you know, even if they come out with the debit card product, is anybody actually going to use it when there's so many other options out there? You know, how are they ever going to gain traction in that market? Especially with remittances, like people, it's not that easy to convert an altcoin back to a fiat currency that you can use to buy, you know, whatever these people are remitting money for.
Right, but I guess if you were to believe their intentions, they're going to create a platform that makes that simple.
Right, but I guess, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to... It's a very big goal for what seems like a relatively small coin and development team.
Yep, yeah, I agree.
Any insights from you on that one, Crypto Juggalo?
Nothing really. Can't say I've followed it too closely. Kind of, at least as far as new hands go, pretty much anything that isn't SHA-256, I kind of don't pay too much attention to lately for new launches.
Yeah, that can make sense when you're going with a SHA ASIC mining approach. This does have a, curiously for an IPO, this did have a proof of work phase. Looks like about 25 or 20% of the supply was delivered on a short POW, but I'm guessing it was a script. That's the other problem I kind of have with this coin. It's like, if the wallet is just a script, it's just like probably a coin makers type coin, you know?
Right.
Which I don't really, if you're just doing an IPO for a generic wallet, then what's the point there?
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they're tying in POW with it.
Yeah, totally. That's going to kind of undermine the IPO price potentially as well. But in this case, obviously, they had whoever's running the coin has the money to support the price and do some market making with it.
At least last week.
Yeah, at least as far as last week.
So that's just a little second look at a coin called Pesobit.
Next up, we are going to do a segment we're calling the Mining Roundup. We're essentially going to talk about the mining market while we have somebody who is a miner here with us, Crypto Juggalo, of course. And so we're just kind of going to try and do a broad spectrum of the different algorithms, what we're mining for, and kind of what we look for in a coin to try to mine. And so I guess we'll start with SHA-256.
Yeah, and Brando, you have had SHA-256 ASICs in the past.
Yep.
Are you still running it all?
No, I don't. They're just sitting in a box right now. I bought 2 Antminer S5s a couple years ago at the beginning of 2015, I guess, so not quite 2 years ago. And it was pretty nice. It was actually turned out to be a really good time to buy S5s because not only did they heat the house, which is great, they there were a bunch of SHA shitcoins that launched after that.
I remember BitBeans was good.
Yeah, BitBeans was one, and there was also XCoin came out, and I was able to catch an Instamine on that, which turned out to be great. Banana Bits, I think, came out back then. There was just a lot of kind of goofy coins that came out.
So did you take the aftermarket route, or did you head direct from manufacturer right out the gate?
I got them both aftermarket. I got one on eBay and one on Amazon, as I recall. And
nice, yeah.
It turned out fine. They were basically the retail prices. I think they were batch 4 or 5. I don't remember exactly which. But they turned out to be fine. They ran really well. I didn't like the noise level for inside mining. I had them in a separate room, a couple rooms away, but it was still noisy enough that I kind of didn't like to hear it. So I ended up getting some aftermarket fans for them, which turned out to be fine. I just bought a couple of Noctua fans. And
yeah, those were pretty loud ones.
They honestly ran a lot hotter than with the stock fan, but running them in winter, it wasn't a problem. In the summer, I ended up burning one up in the summer running them with those aftermarket fans. And I kind of regret it because I should have just shut it off, but, you know, easy come, easy go, I guess. And I still ROI'd them easily thanks to the Insta mining.
Nice. Yeah, I usually take the secondhand market route, and at least historically, with the S9 in particular, which is where I'm running now,
Right.
kind of trying to change things up and kind of went from manufacturer as early as I could to kind of roll past Bitcoin profits back into it and kind of keep playing that game. But yeah, noise is definitely one that was a concern on my side. It's literally a bedroom miner here, and the S3s weren't too unmanageable. S5 was kind of pushing it, but with the S9s, I had dialed down the fan speed and kind of underclock significantly to go through and get something manageable.
Does that affect your profitability per kilowatt there, or does it kind of stay about the same?
It goes through. I'm running out factory clock rates, at least on the generation I picked up, batch 13, I believe it was, like the 12.93 terahash. It was like 600 hertz, and I underclocked about 66% to 450 hertz, which is running about within 10% of the maximum rated temperatures that they kind of advertise. And so far, things have been running pretty well, but
Nice.
It is, baselines came in around kind of the 9.5, 10 terahash realm, which I figure the trade-off with the reduced power consumption kind of balances out on the profitability side of things.
Nice. Yeah, I always it's kind of fun to try and figure out how to use your mining profits to go back into. Do you go back into other ASICs? Do you try and get switch over to GPU or switch algorithms and stuff? It's kind of fun. It's a fun game to try and play when you're actually playing the hardware game itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Turns into a little bit of a energy consumption optimization game in that sense, and so I kind of just gamble on kind of try to maintain a little bit of exclusivity in the sense of going with ASICs and trying to go through and kind of leverage something that's still going to be a little bit exclusive for the altcoin realm and not kind of general commodity hardware like the GPU game and whatnot.
Yeah.
Where I could still maintain an upper hand.
Yep, so that's the SHA algorithm. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about GPU mining, where GPU mining is at kind of in this current day and age. We kind of were hearing about the death of GPU mining, I would say, about a year ago, more like a year and a half ago, before Ethereum hit, when it was just like GPU profits were basically nothing. But we've seen a few coins come and turn that around lately. Ethereum, obviously, is the big one that has established a new floor for the market.
Right.
It seems like...
People were enjoying mining library credits as well. I don't know how that is now.
Yep, Decred is another coin that people have been able to mine a lot with GPUs. And then we're also seeing a lot of new coins coming out like ZCoin and Pascal that seem to be having good GPU mining opportunities as well. So I don't know if there's still room for like insta mining with GPUs. And there's always the question of if you don't have access to some of the private mining software for certain algorithms and certain coins, are you just going to be at a huge disadvantage? And it seems like the answer to that is yes. Like, obviously, people like to talk about Zcash has the private GPU miner, reportedly. I'm sure ZCoin had some private GPU mining going on to some extent and probably still does.
Sure.
And so, but what I've found is that even in that context, if you're still there early in the life of a coin, if you're still paying attention to these potentially big coins before they're hitting exchanges, even if you have that disadvantage in mining, as long as you're in there and actually mining, you'll usually do really well, I think.
Right. I think you're right. And although I think it's a good way to play the game, it's also something I've always found kind of not ideal about Bitcoin is just that it seems like the hash rate has to be just constantly ramping up.
Yeah.
Which means a higher and higher power consumption, which means, a higher value per mined coin. And so I've seen that with a lot of different successful proof of work blockchains. They just continually go up. Of course, they fluctuate, but as long as the coin is continuing to get that higher and higher hash rate, it seems like it's such a good sign for not only the coin, but also kind of... that's about it for me.
It's just interesting to see that the markets can withstand all of that pressure coming from the mining community, Like with Ethereum, right now, at least on my Ethereum miner, I built a new one I'm using RX 470s, but it's about, 5 or 6 times my power cost in terms of what I'm getting back from the miner. And usually we'll see over time the hash rate will increase and increase and increase until the power costs for basically the cheapest customers will get to parity with the value of the coin.
Yeah, and I think part of what I was trying to say earlier, couldn't think of the words, was just that the fact that the coins are going to get more and more expensive in a successful blockchain just kind of means that the early miners get rewarded no matter what.
Right.
So that's why I always feel like just mining a little bit of new coins, because it's so inexpensive, essentially, I just have always found that to be true. That was the way with Steam even.
Yeah,
which
totally.
People were even complaining about how unfair the beginning mining was. But regardless of the amount of control that the developers of that had over it, it was still incredibly profitable for somebody to mine with just a regular CPU.
Yeah, totally.
Just based on the fact that they were going to keep ramping up that hash rate.
There have been quite a few good CPU opportunities lately, I've noticed. I've seen not just ZCoin, but also Steam is a good example. Zcash is... No, wait, they're going to do just GPU for Zcash now. They were saying that it might be CPU mineable, but I don't know. Have you tried much CPU mining, Crypto Juggalo?
No, I can't say that I really have. Haven't really paid too much attention on that front. But going back to the kind of early miner thing, definitely agree on that aspect. Is that like anything interesting that comes along, I'll get on it as soon as possible and keep like Supernova and kind of all those main altcoin pools unnotified just for the chance of catching like ninja launches or anything early on for that odd chance.
Right.
Yeah, totally. And I've never tried to get into the game of actually solo mining the coins directly with the wallets. I did a tiny bit like back in 2014 when
Right.
there was like 15 different script clones coming out every week.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes hit some blocks.
yeah, totally. You can totally hit blocks. I haven't tried it like in a long time, I guess, and I know that some people have gotten it down to the science of just like immediately getting the wallet compiled and having a miner that kind of like automatically on a script will just light into it, you know, which is badass. But I'm curious. I'm kind of curious as to how much money there still is in that market because pools are starting to take a lot longer to add new altcoins, I've noticed. And like it used to be Supernova and miner pools and pool.mn would come along for every single launch like within an hour, you know, and they would all be racing to add the coins.
Yeah, there was that time period for sure.
That's totally not happening anymore. So you can have coins come along where it's like a couple hours before any pools go up. So that has to be good for whoever's actually able to do it. I know with SHA that's really tough because you would essentially have to have a private stratum to do it. Because I'm sure S9 doesn't let you just go to doesn't let you solo mine, right?
Yeah, I looked into it a little bit with some of my earlier ant miners, and it just seemed like a lot of hassle. And from my standpoint, I had a few scares with Trojans a while back, and
Right.
just I wait for the pool to come up and don't take any chance in that sense. Minded the pool wallet, kind of try to minimize all opportunities there to kind of catch something malicious and kind of take the easy route. So it's primarily with like Supernova and some of these others taking a little longer to go through and host pools is kind of why I've kind of haven't been paying too much attention to any of the newer mining lately and catching them right out the gate.
What are you mining right now? Just Bitcoin?
No, I'm actually on MachCoin right now.
Oh, sweet.
Wrapped up my baselines quite a while ago and have been hitting that hard, waiting for whatever interesting shot coins come out that tempt me enough to pull off of that.
Right. As far as X11 and those kind of X number algos, are you kind of familiar with what's going on in that scene? I haven't been paying too much attention to it.
I haven't been paying attention to any coins rolling out.
Yep.
More so the kind of ASICs in the space.
Okay.
Especially with going through kind of rebuilding my farm rig recently. I've been paying a lot of attention to X11, SHA-256, and script profitability in particular. Logging it over the past few months through zpool.ca, and X11 was one I'm considering picking up some of the new Baikel miners. Once I kind of have next big win, roll some Bitcoin into one of those miners just to play around with and leverage that algorithm.
Interesting. Yeah, were you kind of doing those comparisons at the time that you were buying your S9?
Yeah, I went through and actually was logging probably about 4 or 5 months prior to buying S9, those three algorithms, and kind of seeing how they're changing over time, judging what I wanted to go with, kind of carrying in the energy footprint considerations, secondhand market valuations, as well as kind of some of the upcoming launches like the S9 in particular coming out, and trying to maximize hash rate and profitability for a given energy footprint, essentially.
Yeah, one of the reasons I decided to build a GPU rig is because they had come out with a new generation of the RX graphics cards, obviously. And so I always try to kind of get in on a product at the beginning of its cycle, and I feel like you're going to have your best chance of kind of being able to mine the longest there until the next generation comes along and wipes you out.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my kind of same reasoning with the S9 there. Get in as early as I could while it was available and kind of leverage off that.
Yeah, and I've noticed if you can see a chance, a good opportunity to sell your miners, like if you've made a decent profit off of them, or you're close to ROI and you get a good chance to sell, I've always found that that would have been the best course. I'm usually the kind of person who I'll just keep the miner for sentimental value or whatever and be like, oh, I'm going to keep this in mind with it for fun. But then once it stops, like in the case of my SHA ASICs, once it stopped being profitable for me to mine Bitcoin with them, it became really hard for me just to justify the energy that it took to kind of keep them maintained and running. And move them around and that kind of stuff. So it kind of essentially had ended up wishing that I had sold them when I had the chance, even though I did still ROI independently of that.
Yeah, I agree there. Definitely value and kind of keeping an eye on secondhand market prices and just waiting to see when, kind of like in the SHA-256 realm, when some of the larger farms start unloading the latest generation in preparation for the next, and try to leverage off those, beat them out before you get swamped by everyone else unloading.
Yep, totally. As far as choosing which coins to mine, it's kind of almost easier to choose what coins to mine when you're running your own mining hardware, because you're so limited by the algorithm. So for me, it's like if I am running SHA-6 and there's an SHA coin that comes out, I'm probably going to mine it. I'm going to try and mine anything new that uses, I'm mostly set up for ETH right now. So anything that's running the ETH algorithm, like the new Jumbuck swap or something like that, I'm going to try and hit ETH Classic or anything like that. So it's usually pretty easy to pick out coins to mine, I guess, if you're running your own hardware, I feel like.
Yeah, and then of course also just being early to the game, like we were mentioning.
Yeah, totally. There's an element to that with almost all coins where you'll find, like, there's the hype when they get launched, and then there's kind of a quiet period before the rest of the world notices them, I guess. And that can kind of be the best time I've found to mine, at least recently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of play it by ear depending on the launch and how things are going.
Yeah, totally.
It kind of, in my experience, depends on farm sizes in general. And like when I was running with my, I had a quad Antminer S3 setup going, and so I was every bit a little guy, and couldn't compete with the monster hash out the gate on some of these, and would kind of wait for that quiet period and kind of hunt for these sleeper plays, is what I deem them, where it's to the point where the kind of developers dropped off, interest has dropped off, let me swoop in and carry the network and kind of ride it out as long as it'll let me until the next cycle.
Yeah, totally. And that can be a good way to get a really solid ROI on home equipment, because you really have to make a long bet that way, but if it does pay off, you'll do fine. One like that for me when I was doing my SHA miners was a coin called Phalanx that came out. It was just obviously a crappy coin, like with not really a serious dev, and C-Cex traded, that kind of stuff. But the difficulty ended up getting really low, so I just mined it for a couple months. And of course, eventually that weird pump comes along and you can end up cashing out in a big way.
Yeah, that was Grant Coin for me, kind of mined under the radar, under market prices for quite a while, because developers had buy walls going for quite a while, and that one played out pretty well in my favor in that sense.
And there's obviously, you take the chance of eating a huge loss with that strategy too, but again, the nice part with home gear is if you're close to ROI especially already, then it's really just the power. So it's
absolutely.
It's fun to have I just think it's fun to have a little bit of hardware to kind of supplement every other way to get a coin.
Yeah, it lets you play that lottery ticket game quite a bit.
Yep.
Right.
Alrighty, I think that's going to do it for our mining roundup segment. Next, we're going to move on to the news.
And on our news platter, we're looking at another ETH Fork.
We're looking at another ETH Fork. Man, those poor ETH guys, they've just been getting hammered the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
And looks like the solution for them is a fork. Yeah.
I kind of wonder how a really big Ethereum investor feels at this point,
Yeah, I agree. Like, I wonder to what extent they're even in contact with the developers, some of the big investors.
Right.
Many of them probably really aren't probably that well in the loop, so some of this might be coming as a surprise to them.
I feel like on the one hand, it's quite contrary to some of the spirit of decentralized currencies that people will talk about.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it also shows that they are serious about this working, and they're not going to let some problem with the code just stop them. So they are in control of the situation, I guess.
Yeah.
It's how it's kind of been from the beginning, I felt.
Yeah, and there's some fun implications coming out from this. This is a technical fork, of course, to deal with the issues that they've been having with the DOS attacks on the network. And so, obviously, Bitcoin had tons of forks to deal with technical issues. I'm sure that people are expecting there to be forks, but it seems like the effective Ethereum Classic has, it's made all this stuff into a much bigger deal than it would have been maybe like a year ago.
Yeah, and I guess Ethereum Classic would most likely adopt this code change as well, right? And so they would fork.
My understanding is there's some division in the Ethereum Classic community over like how they're going to handle it, which I think is kind of interesting. I'm curious to see, the ETH Classic is like founded on this thing of we're the original ETH chain. So I've heard some people saying that there's going to be like another Ethereum Classic if they fork it. There'll be an even more classic Ethereum Classic. And then there'll be the one that's keeping up with the Ethereum fork. So I think they're at risk of really getting their community diluted over this kind of stuff.
Right. Let's see. We're also looking at the NXT swap finally being completed.
NXT's swapped.
Been looking forward to that for a while, haven't you, Brando?
Yeah, I remember when we first mentioned that the NXT swap was coming out, and NXT was really low in price back then. It had been kind of like approaching its all-time lows, so we kind of joked that like, well, if could the price of NXT and Ardor really be worth less than just the price of NXT? And then it seemed like we weren't the only ones with that idea, because there was like a funny pump. As the NXT swap started, the price of NXT started climbing as people were buying into it. And it kind of reached this, it ended up going up like 500 or 600% kind of at the peak of the swap. But I just kept my NXT that I bought at the beginning. And I got my Ardor this week, so that was fun.
Nice.
And it's kind of funny, they're only trading it on Bittrex right now. But Poloniex did the swap, but you can only like withdraw your coins. You can't trade with them yet, which is interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll open that up or what they're waiting for.
I'm seeing a lot of people complaining because like on Bittrex you can't. They require a message in your deposit, and Poloniex with the withdrawal won't send the message, and so people can't really. I think it's probably really low liquidity on that market right now.
Mm.
Did you do?
Yeah, I was actually surprised they haven't opened one up yet. It's been bringing in a bit of volume to Bittrex though, kind of sitting in the 70 Bitcoin range right now. I think it peaked over 100 there earlier.
Yeah, and that's obviously really good for Bittrex. We always like to see more coins doing okay over there. And 70 Bitcoins is about as good as it gets for them usually anyway, so.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, and it's definitely there's going to be something there with when it hits Poloniex, but I'm curious to see. I don't know if it's going to happen right away, or if they're going to let it bleed out for a bit. It seems like NXT 1.0 is definitely going to bleed out for a little bit.
Yeah, I guess they can just keep trading that for a while, right? The chain's going to stay alive.
Right. Yep. Totally.
Huh.
Yeah. Allegedly, I don't know if there's going to be any more major updates for it, but I think they are still going to like support it in terms of technicals and bug fixes and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding with it as well. I was kind of surprised. I actually thought we'd have it opened on Poloniex a little earlier. With they had a blip come through on altcoin Notify of the market opening up, but instantly it was disabled and kind of caught a few off guard there.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe they maybe they wanted to audit the chain or something for a security concern.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be a big coin to watch going forward. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot about Ardor in the coming weeks. Let's see. Next, we're going to cover the gainers and losers. This is just where we go to CoinMarketCap and see what the biggest coins, the biggest increases in market cap and the biggest decreases.
That's right. And this week, the biggest gainer was FuelCoin 2.
FuelCoin 2 is up 828%. It's crazy.
That's big. Horizon up 146%.
We've got one credit up 122%.
And ZCoin up 108%.
Yep. So yeah, some huge pumps this week. FuelCoin 2 that's just like a Bittrex only coin, a swap obviously from a coin called FuelCoin, but I recall seeing this on the delisting list like a couple weeks ago. And so now it's hilariously up like basically 10x. Gotta love those Bittrex coins.
Yep. And then Horizon is the clone of Ethereum, right?
Is it? I don't know what the story on Horizon is.
It's a clone of something, I thought.
No, I don't know what the story on OneCredit is either. Horizon and OneCredit are both on Poloniex, and I have no idea what their angle is.
And then, of course, ZCoin being the newer coin with the zero proof, supposedly, that's doing well.
Yeah, ZCoin is a really new coin, and I'm really happy to see all the hype that's kind of flying into it.
Then on the other side of the coin, the biggest losers of the week were Pesobit.
They're down 67%, so...
That was on the other side of the fence last week.
Yep, yeah, they gained they were one of the ADZCoins from last week, so this week they lose about 2/3 of their volume, or 2/3 of their value, that is. So they'll be, that's still substantially up from where it started and still way up from its IPO price, but, now we're going to see, is there any legs to this, or is it just a quick pump and dump?
Then you got President Clinton coin down 52%. High coin down 47%, and Swiss coin down 41%.
So yeah, a lot of those are just those high pre-mine fake volume coins doing what they do and going down.
Next up tonight, we're going to do our random coin spotlight. We're going to do a higher coin market cap random coin and a lower market cap random coin. The first one is going to be Clams.
Clams, this is the higher market cap coin. This coin's still in the top 100. Really interesting distribution method on this thing. I don't know if you remember this one, but
I do, yeah.
They essentially they snapshot Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Doge, right?
Yep.
They snapshotted those blockchains, and then anybody with balances could get Clams through some exchange factor.
Yeah, you have to somehow prove that address, and I think you get a certain number of coins per address that you own prior to the snapshot.
Yep. I remember when Clams came out, and they kind of got some grief at first because people were like, oh, they're just doing this so that they can compromise your Bitcoin private keys or your Litecoin private keys. And so I guess I bought into the FUD or something, or it was enough for me to ignore the coin, which was obviously not a smart move because it's turned into a really hugely successful blockchain.
Yeah, and let's see. That's on Poloniex, right?
They are definitely on Poloniex.
Yep.
But I don't know what they're doing these days. I assume they're kind of just coasting. I noticed there is still some activity in the community, but I'm seeing the dev kind of posting like, hey guys, is there anything you want me to change about the coin or anything? And, nobody really has any ideas. It's just a classic kind of 2014 style crypto that has a big community and a high price, but seems like it's just going to be in a holding pattern for a while.
Yeah, that's one that's kind of come into my Twitter notification game and kind of leveraging notifications to go through and pretty much catch any seemingly dead coin that reappears, and it kind of caught that realm for me.
Nice. Yeah, there's a funny situation going on Poloniex right now where it's like in the past 6 months at least, it's like almost every single coin that's been on Poloniex is pumped. So it's like this game of looking through for these coins, these old 2014, 2013 coins that have just been sitting at super low market cap for a while, because you just know eventually somebody's going to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody will come back with news or something or other, and it's actually been interesting to see in the last few weeks. There's been almost nearing double-digit accounts on some of the Polo coins in particular that have went through and regain activity after months, even years away. Funny how that works.
It really is.
Yeah, I've been kind of expecting the altcoin markets to cool down. I've been saying it for the past few weeks, but every week I just get surprised by a couple more of these crazy pumps. We are seeing some new lows on a lot of older coins like Lisk and Library and Steam. So the big winners are offset by a lot of these losers, but it's fun to see it all coming together.
So that is Clams, and then a random lower market cap coin is ZetaCoin.
All right, we got ZetaCoin here. ZetaCoin, interestingly enough, was launched in 2013. This is a pretty damn old coin. Let's look at this.
That had Bryce Wiener ties, didn't it? Or am I thinking things differently?
I don't remember, but that wouldn't surprise me at all. Back then, you didn't need to have any kind of special features or anything to have like a celebrity pump coin. You know, it could just be any old Litecoin or Dogecoin clone, and everybody would just jump on board. It was great.
Very, very little information on their website. At least it has a working block explorer. It would qualify for a birthday.
Looks like this coin had a
If it had-
2013 pump, so
At
like
some point.
a lot of coins back then, when Bitcoin had its huge, ridiculous $1,100, $1,200 spike, we saw a lot of altcoins do like 100 or 50x huge pumps, like Litecoin. And ZetaCoin is apparently one of those. It looks like it did one right out of the gate, and it's had a few bounces ever since then. But it's basically at its low right now, which is still 340,000 market cap. But I don't see, once again, like all these kind of older legacy Bitcoin and Litecoin clones, they're just kind of riding on the blockchain now, and the fact that it doesn't take a lot to keep a blockchain going.
Right.
Yeah, from the mining standpoint, that one kind of pops on my radar off and on every once in a while. And hash rate wise, it's kind of just been lingering around the 25 terahash mark for quite a while, with random spikes over 50 terahash, which kind of with the S9s out, being able to pull a little over 10 terahash, it's not too many people carrying that network.
Do you kind of do like
sense.
Do you kind of do like your own multi-pool strategy where you just look for the temporary profitability on kind of everything that's out there in the SHA market?
I largely go off fundamentals and
Okay.
kind of try and gauge what looks to be on the floor right now, and kind of look at it from a risk-reward standpoint and see which has kind of the highest potential for upside. And I kind of try to go through and pick one or two to concentrate in that sense, and then just kind of ride things out, waiting for new launches that pique my interest to come along to kind of dip off of for that.
Yeah, that's a cool approach to mining. It's like a lot of people will just go for the quick, turn it around into Bitcoin as quickly as possible, and then you're just kind of at the mercy of whatever the general mining rate is. And so to use it like as a speculative instrument, I think is pretty cool, because it kind of is well suited to the way that you want to accumulate altcoins, in the sense that if you're buying alts or whatever, it's pretty laborious unless you have a good API to really slowly accumulate a coin when it's at its lowest price, because the volume is low and it's tough. But with mining is incredibly consistent in that regard. And so if you want to accumulate a large amount of a coin that people aren't paying attention to, just straight up mining it can be a really good way to do it.
Yep. Try and get as much under the radar as you can. That's
exactly
primarily what I kind of frame my strategy around in that sense. Like, I started out early on mining Bitcoin direct, and quickly moved from that after learning about altcoins, and pretty much at this point only baseline with the kind of profit switching multi-pools, and after I generate those baselines, pretty much do a pretty thorough evaluation of the scene just to see where things are trading, try and find stuff on the floor that's been largely kind of under the radar, forgotten about, and kind of see what's the best opportunity in the sense of how close can I mine to current market rates, and try and obviously go for under that as much as I can, but not always the case. And kind of use that as my approach for picking what I concentrate in while waiting for the launches of the new coins.
Yeah, and I think that's a great strategy. So that was our, we're talking about ZetaCoin, of course. That was our low market cap random coin this week. So yeah, it looks like a cool little old coin. Looks like it's probably going to hold its market for quite a while.
Time to move on to the new posts.
New posts, one of our favorite segments here at the Blockchain Dynamics Show.
And so we'll start with the proof of work coins this week. Up on the list first is Crabcoin.
Crabcoin. This is a funny post. I would recommend checking it out if you have time, or if you're like looking at new posts. It's playing on the South Park crab people meme, which is always good.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Love that episode.
And it's a proof of work coin. We love that. But here's the problem. It does have a 1% pre-mine, which is not that huge, but it's 100,000 blocks, so that does work out to be a 1,000 block pre-mine, which that can be enough to call the whole thing into question, assuming they're not playing it straight.
Right, yeah.
This one is on Novaexchange and Yobit already. they've got some decent pools, max miners. They apparently have those crypto coders crew helping them out. But other than that, I would say there's not a lot of other interest in this.
It looks pretty basic.
Yep, really generic. And if you're just going to do a generic coin, I don't even see, like, why do a 1% pre-mine? It seems like not that many people are going to mine it, so you might as well just do no pre-mine and get the extra legitimacy and stack them up when the difficulty's lower.
Yeah, well, people don't
Buy
even
'em
mind
cheap
it
or
when
whatever.
people really don't mind the super stacked block reward either, so you could pretty much pre-mine your coin and people wouldn't even blink an eye.
Yeah, that's
at
true.
this point.
It's kind of a class. Yeah, I think these shitcoin devs, they're just getting lazy, man, because the like you said, the decreasing block reward thing has been around for a while, and it's kind of a weird way to do it, but it does legitimize a pre-mine in a sense, because it's like, oh well, everybody had a chance. I just mine more at first. I don't know.
But that one came out.
It also has, let's see, 1,000% proof of stake rate. And I did the math on the pre-mine. It's only worth about 1/10 of a Bitcoin. So even though it's 1,000 blocks,
I like that.
like you can't. It's not going to be a huge cash out for this guy.
At least not at this point, right?
Yep.
So kind of a fun little joke meme coin, Crabcoin.
Next up in the mix here, we got Washington Coin. This is an X11 proof of work, proof of stake, but this is a 10% pre-mine, and that's just getting into the too high. Might as well ignore it territory, honestly.
Remind me a lot of Jobs coin from last week.
Yep, I agree. Next up on our list of proof of work coins this week, we have
Nuggets.
So another high pre-mine, man. I don't know. I'm not liking these proof of work coins lately that are just dropping with all these high pre-mines.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to like this one at first because they did it as a pre-announcement, which, hasn't been happening very much.
Yeah.
A proof of work pre-announcement. And it's got a pretty nice amount of mining rewards going on.
Yep.
Except they have this big old pre-mine.
Yeah, they've got, even relative to the high block rewards, it's like a 40,000 block pre-mine. That's going to be tough to compete with.
But of course it's 4 bounties, they would say.
Yeah, it's 4 bounties, but then they outline the bounties, and it's not like nearly the amount of the pre-mine or anything, so it makes it all look questionable.
And then there's issues with the number of coins reported on their Block Explorer, and I couldn't, of course, say whether it's a problem with the Block Explorer or a problem with the chain, but there are just, millions and millions of more coins than there should ever be on this chain, if this Block Explorer is to be believed.
Yeah,
Although the coin supply remains at listed at 12.3 million, the first address in the Block Explorer even has more than that at 13.1 million.
And that's a good catch. Sometimes it's amazing how quickly you can see how shady these coins are just when you look at it up right away. Dude, I don't think that's 13 million. I think that's 130 million.
Oh, yeah.
It is. That's hilarious. So yeah, this is obviously a scammy coin.
Something's off. The next proof of work coin we took a look at was ACRE Tokens.
ACRE Tokens. This is like really, this post is even hard to read. It's kind of funny. The launch date on this is October 24th. So this is a pre-announcement. But the white paper release is October 31st. So they're just going to launch it and make us wait for the white paper. What's the deal with that?
That's nice, right? Because then can buy in before any information whatsoever. Is that what that means?
Yeah, exactly. This looks like, I can't even tell how they're distributing it looking at this post. It's pure proof of stake. It's got a huge pre-mine, of course. I don't know, more sketchy stuff.
Yep. Probably won't hear too much about that one would be my guess. We'll see.
So yeah, not a good selection in the POW coins this week. Pretty much all high pre-mine stuff.
In the ICO realm, we saw TeamUp.
TeamUp. This is a Yobit ICO. It's just another implementation of the trading fund theme, where it's like you give me a bunch of money and then I'm going to use it to do some trading, and through some nebulous process that will cause the price of the coin to go up. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, this is Yobit ICO. So as it's going to do the Yobit ICO thing where it goes up for like one day and then dumps down, never to be seen again.
It seems like they're really gonna. We're seeing so much more Yobit ICOs just from them making, I think, that one post about their new rules.
Yeah, they made those
seems
new.
Seems like they've just started.
The rocket ICOs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a robot ICO guy, Crypto Juggalo?
No,
Yobit
Ivan.
ICO.
I largely don't pay attention to any of that. I think the last ICO or anything related in that realm that I played on Yobit was Yovi,
Nice.
way back when. That was about it.
I got played hard by Yovi at like I remember when it first came out and there was like that initial spike, and I got into it late enough. I didn't really understand how the order book stacking worked up, you know. So I was like, all right, shit,
Yeah.
I'll buy a little bit of Yovi just for shits. And then I tried to place a sell, and I realized that I would have to like place it at 18 times the whatever the lowest price was. So I think I ended up selling it on Cryptopia because you can just transfer them there and trade at any price. It's way lower than the Yobit price, of course, but you
Yeah,
can-
that was an entertaining one to say the least. That I caught off leveraging my Twitter notification game and got in early and pulled out enough to profit and then got locked in for months. And it's pretty entertaining how that unfolded with that side market coming up on another smaller exchange and then them opening up the market, pulling off
Yeah.
RM rules, and then bringing them back. And
yeah, I love that
never a
they're
dull
just
moment.
yeah they're just randomly changing the rules of the market and stuff, and I love that just flies for acceptable on Yobit. Honestly, it's great.
Yeah.
Yobit gets a lot of shit, but I'm almost kind of happy that there is an exchange out there that is just willing to do all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives you a spot to dump mine coins when they don't make it to Bittrex or the larger exchanges these days.
Yeah, I might just be happy with Yobit because some of my old trashy coins keep pumping randomly for no reason.
It's the land of that.
Just crap that I mined in 2015, like when I was still mining every coin.
So that's TeamUp being another Yobit ICO.
All right, XYY Gaming is the next coin. This is just a lazy gaming themed ICO coin, trying to capitalize, I think, on like the bit crystals and that kind of stuff.
Right. At this point, you have to be. It's such a competitive area, even within such a small market of cryptocurrencies and altcoins, that you have to be pretty interesting, I think, to really get people's attention at this point.
And there's so few of these that you wouldn't be better off waiting for them to hit the market anyway. It's just for every ICO that goes up, there's so many that do the exact opposite. So why not just, you don't have the benefit of the market history to inform your decision when you buy into an ICO, and I find that just to be too much to bear most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I generally avoid ICOs anymore, just because I want to see that history and kind of see past development, things along those lines.
Yep.
Up next in the ICOs was Ceal.
Ceal. All right. This was a little bit higher effort, so I kind of liked this one in terms of they at least have put some thought into their post, and they have some. They obviously have multiple people working on the project, it looks like. But as far as that, the theme of it here is that it's a blockchain for information sharing, to encourage, freedom of expression and freedom of opinion. I think what that boils down to is that it will be a decentralized torrent network where people can transfer data, essentially.
Like transfer torrent files that then can connect through a different client or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's to actually transfer the torrent files or to actually do the torrent, the exchange of data.
Huh.
But as far as that, I'm not sure.
Me neither. And I'm not sure where the coin comes into play either.
No, as always, you got to ask yourself, why do they need a token for this? Why do they need 1,300 Bitcoins to do it? But as far as ICOs go, this is probably the least bad-looking one, or the best-looking one this week, I guess.
Okay.
Next on our list here, we got MachCoin. So this is another funny coin where it's like some guy's just like, please give me some money so that I can trade this coin.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. There is a little bit of proof of work on this one.
There is, and this guy's posted what is a picture of a human. There's no way to know if it's him, but I think there's a demo video on this thread, which is unusual, of him going through the wallet and actually clicking around and showing off the futures, which is a lot more effort than most of these guys put into it.
Right. But we've seen some interesting coins in the past that were all flashy graphics and ICOs and then really took people too.
Yeah, that's true.
I think at EdgeCoin.
So here's what's funny to me about these IPOs, where it's like, give me some Bitcoin and I'll put it into a buy wall, and that is going to support the price of this coin. Why would you do that through the mechanism of an IPO? Like, if I wanted to have a coin get supported with a buy wall, wouldn't I be better off just putting up my own buy wall and then getting the coins? Like, it just seems like such a weird strategy to underpin an IPO.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
So let's see. Next on the list here, we have ACRE ARC.
The ARC platform.
Now, this is another coin that's just saying, hey, we don't have any super innovative ideas here. We're just going to combine a bunch of the best ideas from other altcoins. That's kind of what MachCoin was saying as well. But then once again, if you're just copying futures from other coins, what do you need an IPO for?
Right. I hear what you're saying, because when you look at what they're saying under their features, they have easy to use, fast, and secure. Those are just three things that everybody wants
Every coin.
their money to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it probably requires a little bit more innovation to really do anything special within that category.
What I do like in here is that they're saying 8-second block time, which is just crazy fast. So I'm curious to see if they can pull that aspect of it off, at least, because I always love super fast blockchains, and it just kind of, all the technical challenges with blockchain get ramped up when you start doing those fast blocks. And so you kind of see that stuff come out really fast a lot of time on coins like that.
Yeah, we've seen some interesting events occur around fast blocks.
Yep.
And then the final ICO of the week is ForexCoin.
ForexCoin. This is the one that was requested to us to take a look at by somebody in our Cryptopia thread.
Yep, and it's just basically another Yobit ICO, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on these coins, but there's a lot of shit coins out there right now, and I think that this is probably just another one of them.
It also has a little bit of proof of work.
It does. Really low proof of work reward. It was what he said, it was a Yobit IPO. And so, as always, you got to know what's the theme of the IPO. This one is that it's going to be, once again, just an investment fund type thing. You're giving this guy some money so that he can try and raise the price of the coin. The theme on this one is that it has a 100% buy wall. So it's the entire value of the IPO just sits on the buy wall on Yobit.
And it kind of looks like it's sitting there to me.
And that's exactly what it's doing. They're saying it's going to go up 120% per year. So I think that just means 20% interest, I guess, 20% gain. And that's kind of funny because it's such a low Satoshi value. I don't like it when they do these IPOs for, 8 Satoshis per coin, because it really messes up the trading. It's weird.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, how can you claim to have a fixed interest rate if, when you're trading at 8 Satoshi, you have to go to 9 Satoshi, so that's like an 11% increase or whatever. There's like no, you can't say that you have a 20% interest if you don't even have a denomination of the coin that could get to that value. That's weird.
Yeah, I hear you, but if you were like some sort of, from like one perspective, that'd be a way to get people to shake out at lower actual prices because they feel like they've already made some money and then they can get out. But
yeah, that's true.
I think that's a little conspiracy theory-ish.
Yeah, it seems like any of these coins, I'm just really skeptical, I guess, of these coins that come out with a less than 10 Satoshi starting price.
Right.
Because it makes the market so illiquid and weird. But yeah, it's another Yobit ICO, and it looks like it's just another coin that's taking advantage of the new Yobit ICO rules to generate some hype.
Okay, and so taking a quick look back at all the new posts this week, proof of work coins, nothing too interesting.
It's got to be Crabcoin for me this week.
Yeah.
As far as that, Crabcoin's like the only one that came out this week with even a low pre-mine. At least it's a 1% pre-mine, not a 10% pre-mine.
The lowest pre-mine out of them.
But that said, I don't think I'm going to mine any. I'll probably take a break from the new coins this week.
And then ICO, pretty much same deal.
Yeah, nothing looking cool to me, honestly.
Ceal being the highest effort looking post.
kind of a bummer because we've had some cool launches lately. So hopefully, as some of these other new coins get traction, we'll hopefully see some other serious developers kind of take a swing at some new projects.
And so moving right along, the next section of the show is our rolling review, where we kind of try to keep track of a few coins from week to week.
Yeah, this is kind of how we keep up with coins that we've covered at launch. But then you want to be like, all right, well, what the hell are they doing today? That's why we got the rolling review.
Pascal is one that continues to be interesting to us. The GPU miner just came out, Brando tells me.
Yep. There's actually like a huge blow up in the Pascal coin thread this week. In a good way, not like people getting mad, but just a huge surge in interest, which I think is interesting. This coin came out August 12th. So it looks like about 2 months ago. And we just kind of liked it because it looked like a new ground up wallet, CPU mine only. And it seemed like there were a lot of people who were able to, just kind of mine it at an amateur level, which is awesome. And it's really surprising to see it still building steam 2 months later. A lot of times we see new coins like this show up and then they just kind of fade off into the distance,
And so
Yeah, I agree.
people are probably getting a little antsy to trade this.
Yeah, and that's going to be the huge test for it, I think. This, again, we talked about Vcash Vanilla Coin a little earlier, and this kind of feels like that in a lot of ways for me in terms of the wallet is so different and so kind of ground up in a way that it's hard to know if it even will be able to be exchanged. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember when Vcash first started getting exchanged, there was a lot of changes that had to be made on both the parts of the exchanges trying to add it and by the developer of the coin itself.
Right, it seemed to, at the time, require some collaboration between the developer and the exchange managers.
And yeah, so there's some interfaces and stuff that these exchanges need, and I'm curious to know if Pascal has them. I don't have the ability to go through the code and check, like, does it have the RPC interface and that kind of stuff that exchanges are going to need to carry it? And if it doesn't, is it possible to have a coin that would just be able to thrive without being on a conventional exchange? Because there is right now, it's one of the highest volume of like person-to-person trading that I've seen really in any coin, I think, in a long time.
Interesting, yeah.
So yeah, interesting. And it's got that moment. I've noticed in a few of the coins that we've covered, they just kind of have this moment where they go from being completely off the radar to all of a sudden everybody knows about them. And I think we're seeing that happen with Pascal now. I remember when it happened with Steam. I remember when it happened with Syndicate. And there have been a couple others that we've covered that just like Jules is one, where all of a sudden they just kind of show up on everybody's radar one day. And I think that's definitely happening with Pascal.
Interesting.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that one. That was one that seemed to have largely slipped under the radar in the very, very beginning, early on in the launch. Kind of caught things with a new miner and everything coming out there, and kind of largely looked the other way just because I was battling Trojan issues at the time with another coin.
Bummer.
So I didn't bother touching that, but then it kind of went through its paces with ICO Countdown, started kind of shilling it in that sense. And
That's interesting.
it seems to really pick up lately.
That's funny that he's advertising this. So maybe he's breaking out of his ICO hyping role.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that come through.
So yeah, definitely I think one that we're going to be hearing about. The next coin on our rolling review list is Veltor. This came out the same week as Pascal, and we've been following it ever since. As far as this one, I would say it is not looking as exciting as Pascal.
Yeah, it's really starting to drop off quick now.
The dev has posted now that he's looking to do a chain swap. He's saying essentially the chain he's on isn't going to be able to meet his vision for some of these futures that he's proposed. But this coin's just seeming to be too much of like a, not enough of a directed vision for where he really wants the coin to be.
Right. Well, and he did try to make it very clear at the beginning that he was a student, an amateur, and that he was going to use it as an experiment. And learn
That's
some
true.
things.
That's a good point. Maybe it's just the hype. Maybe the hype got past what the original vision of the coin was.
Well, I think it just made it a really nice kind of low-risk, possible high payout gamble at that point. Whereas now it's starting to seem like, unless you can catch some initial interest or he manages to make a development that people pay attention to in the future, it's just going to be another blockchain that is having some issues and works well enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably a good analysis of Veltor. So we're still going to keep an eye on this one, but this might be one that kind of ends up going off the rolling review if it ends up going into a stagnant pattern.
It did have a unique algorithm, which was another reason. Well,
Yeah,
I guess I'd heard
another
of that
unique
one
algo.
before or something.
No,
We've seen it around, but it's a pretty rare one or something like that.
It was a new algorithm, but he did the thing where you rearrange the same hashing functions in a different
Right.
way and then call it a new algorithm.
Right. So anyway, another one on the rolling review that I'm happy to still see here is ZCoin.
ZCoin, now talk about a hype coin, man. ZCoin has just gone crazy this week.
Right.
Huge activity mining wise, crazy numbers of people CPU mining this on Supernova. I think there is a GPU miner out for this one. Have you been paying much attention to ZCoin, Crypto Juggalo?
I've actually kind of largely missed that from the mining standpoint and kind of been sitting it out. Haven't been paying too much attention aside from more on the fundamental side of things and kind of keeping an eye to see what that's doing in comparison to the Zcash.
One thing that I haven't been 100% sure of that maybe you would have insight in then is whether or not they've successfully actually implemented the zero proofs that they say they have.
So that, yeah, I don't know, I have a bit of confusion on some of that as well, and even trying to trace back kind of their developer involvements, because from what I was gathering, it looked like, so they've got this poor man Insam on the team,
Yep.
who from my understanding was one of the VertCoin developers, and then Gary Lee is another co-founder, who I believe was involved with, what was it? Moneda, I think if I'm remembering right.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, co-founder of Moneda. So it seems kind of like they're leveraging off one of the protocols that come out of Johns Hopkins University, where like with ZeroCoin, you've got it's relying on that underlying ZeroCoin protocol,
Right.
as opposed to Zero Cash, which is relying on the underlying Zero Cash protocol, which both date back to kind of academic papers with affiliations from this Johns Hopkins University and a few others with overlapping authorship on some of them. So
Okay.
Oh,
kind
wow.
of interesting to see how things are piecing together there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize that the underlying technology there was different between the coins. I thought it was just the Zero Cash protocol that they were both trying to implement, or the Zero Coin protocol that they were both trying to implement. So it's interesting to hear that there's a competitive technology underpinning both of these. But the thing about ZCoin is like the time that it launched was so convenient, and like you said, it's just the kind of the issues surrounding the developers, or the questions, I guess, makes you wonder if there's anything to this. I also remember Supernova kind of posted early in the thread that like, hey, this source code just looks pretty normal. I don't see any evidence of the ZeroCoin protocol being implemented here. And so from that perspective, it seems like they're coming out of the gate so hot with this coin, just with a huge price, huge volume, huge amount of miners. It's all just too much in some ways for me, I think.
It's a little bit hard to get your research done on this one for some reason.
it's hard to keep up with it. It's just happening so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But that said,
Absolutely.
it would have been a great coin to mine early. Might even still be a great coin to mine. And the fact of the matter is, it's still only trading on small exchanges. So the sky's the limit in terms of what could happen here.
Yeah, and it was interesting because there was even like rumors dating back to 2014 of like VertCoin going through implementing this ZeroCoin protocol. And
Interesting.
so there's definitely a lot going on, and not really sure. Okay, what's actually implementing this protocol? Things along those lines. How long it's kind of been brewing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Lyra algorithm choice on ZCoin probably bears a connection to VertCoin as well.
Yep. True.
So, yeah, interesting seeing that. And obviously there's a lot of interest and money behind VertCoin. And if that's being transitioned now into Zcash, anything could happen.
ZCoin. Yeah.
Right, ZCoin. God, it's hard to keep these all straight.
Oh, it's going to get tough. Can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait. I hope somebody comes out with like Z-Bucks and
Yeah.
Z-Money. There probably already is a Z-Money.
Making it onto the rolling review this week is the Jumbuck swap.
Yeah, I want to try and keep up with this one. They are swapping Jumbucks over to an Ethereum chain. They're changing the name of it to Yobit. But otherwise, it's kind of just still in progress. I don't even think they've started the swap. So we're going to keep up with it, I guess, and we'll kind of let you guys know how that progresses. We also took... are you into Jumbucks? Have you gotten into that coin before?
I haven't been paying attention to Jumbucks, but I was actually pretty surprised with that transition to the Ether chain, just with the problems like Shift and Krypton have been having, and them actually moving away from to other chains. So that kind of was a big surprise to me in that sense.
Yeah, we had the same exact feeling when they announced it, and we were like, because I think in the same week we were talking about Krypton moving to their proof of stake chain. So it's like, okay, well, what did they figure out that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
how
question.
are they going to survive as kind of a smaller network on that change?
Yeah, it's going to be... I really wonder, do they have something planned for it? Have they addressed it? I'm curious. I'm going to have to look into that. So yeah, we also took a couple of coins off the rolling review this week. They are Zayed and Jules. I just feel like they've both kind of settled into where they're going to be for a while now. Jules made it onto Bittrex, of course. It's back kind of trading around its IPO price.
There's only really one place to go from there.
Yeah, it's probably going to go, if anything, down for a little bit or be flat.
Well, I was just thinking Poloniex.
Oh, exchange-wise?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it would probably require I don't know, who knows how they pick their coins still. It seems like sometimes I can figure out that it's volume related, but then they'll just add some random coin out of nowhere. I'd love to see them add a coin that's over 2 years old. Would be really
on Poloniex. Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
sweet, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like that. It should be golden, dude. It obviously should be NLG.
That'd be
I
pretty
think.
sweet.
But yeah, I doubt it. So yeah, that's going to do it for the rolling review this week. We'll be back next week to keep you guys posted on all of those coins.
Okay. And so then we move into the listings.
Love those listings.
Starting with Cryptopia.
Cryptopia listed a few coins this week. They are ZCoin, Mustang Coin, Atomic Coin, and Dash Coin.
Nice.
So random mix kind of there of new coins, and Dash obviously a huge name.
Yeah. Really pretty interesting choices. I like it.
Yep, and ZCoin obviously the highest profile one there. Poloniex added Ardor, but only for withdrawals. Can't trade it yet.
Right. Whereas on Bittrex, you can now trade and withdraw Ardor.
Yep, and for now it's been trading straight down, but still a good price overall, and who the hell knows where the bottom's going to be and just how high that coin will go.
Over on Yobit, there's the new ForexCoin ICO.
Only the ForexCoin ICO on Yobit. Slow week for those guys.
That's I don't think we've seen that for quite a while. On C-Cex, they listed Royal.
Royal Coin, that's a shit coin that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Over on Novaexchange, there's Crabcoin.
Crabcoin, that's the shit coin that came out this week. That's kind of funny.
And then over at coinexchange.io, they also listed ZeroCoin. They got ADZCoin, MintCoin, and Espers.
Espers. Is that new Espers chain or old Espers chain?
I sure hope it's the new one.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I don't know. They didn't call it Espers 2 now that I think about it.
I wonder if that's even going to be, I wonder if the new chain's even going to be able to support a 1 Satoshi floor. I'm curious.
I guess we'll find out.
Espers is badass. I still like that coin, but we'll see how well they do over on coinexchange.io.
Right. Okay, and so taking a look back at the listings this week, you can see ZCoin spreading out a little bit.
And doing huge volume everywhere that it kind of lands on. So there's obviously some major interest in ZCoin.
And then surprisingly low listings overall coming from Yobit being, a serial lister, and C-Cex. And Novaexchange been listing a lot as well, but not this week.
Really feels like a calm before the storm situation for me with, Bitcoin spiking a little bit this week. Everyone's kind of holding on and I think just kind of waiting to get crazy. So yeah, that'll do it for the listings. And our last segment today is going to be the coin birthdays.
Yeah, we always like to see if we can find any coin birthdays out there. And This week, the only one I could really find was Litecoin, which was 5 years old on the 8th of October.
That's a pretty great birthday, man. Litecoin 5 years ago.
Yep.
Hard to believe.
Definitely the second cryptocurrency I'd ever heard of is Litecoin.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Same story for me. I remember we kind of tried to mine it when they were trading for like a penny.
Right. We just barely started at that point.
But we never...
And
we
lost
didn't-
interest, kind of.
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit... we didn't find a lot of tutorials or much community to latch onto at that point. And it wasn't until Dogcoin that it seemed like the information came to us a little bit easier, and we were able to get our miners really rolling.
Yep, and we didn't try very hard back then either. But
That's true. Probably
You
could have
know.
figured it out.
at any rate,
The value didn't seem as obvious. once Dogecoin started pumping, and
it was like,
see
Jesus
people were
Christ, if
giving
Dogecoin,
it away for free.
if Dogecoin is pumping, what the hell am I doing not mining?
Exactly.
That's kind of how it felt back then.
Yeah.
But anyway, Litecoin, it's got its 5-year birthday this week. Only the second 5-year birthday that we've seen. The other one was IXCoin, right?
Right.
Which is funny, kind of. I wonder how they decided which coins to pump back then. Is Litecoin much better than IXCoin, or why is Litecoin the one that went to $40? Who knows?
Wasn't it the first script coin?
Oh, I think it was. Yeah, that's a good point.
Mhm.
Yep. That is how they did it. It was the GPU, the return of the GPU.
Right, because they were able to do something that was a little bit ASIC resistant. Which
Litecoin. Yeah, exactly. They were able to. Everyone was really worked up about ASICs kind of like defeating the purpose of Bitcoin back then or whatever. And
then, of course, critics were quick and probably still would point out that, of course, there's going to be script ASICs if it becomes worth enough. But the fact that Litecoin made it to that point is pretty amazing.
yeah, every coin that has claimed to be ASIC resistant thus far has ended up having ASICs developed for it. I wonder if that's going to happen with Ethereum or not.
And in the process of that, it went from about a $50 to $40 million market cap to at its peak. It looks like it could have hit $1 billion at one point, but very high up there, 700 million. So huge pump back then, and that was enough to make the news somehow.
Yeah, still one of the greats, man.
Yep.
Sweet coin. So happy 5-year birthday to the Litecoin crew. And I think that is going to do it for show number 33.
Yeah, that's about it.
We want to say a huge thanks to you, Crypto Juggalo. It was really great having you on the show, man.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invite, guys. Really appreciate it.
This again once has been episode number 33. My name is Brandon Doge.
And I'm Woody.
Peace.
Later.
Currency.
Stuck a couple Bitcoins.
Money, 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 though.
Pull up on my Nakamoto.